In today's video, we're going to be talking about an interview I saw recently with Jinger Duggar Vuolo. She was being interviewed on a podcast by Mayim Bialik called Breakdown. It was a very interesting interview, and I hope you'll stick around to the end of this video because my opinion changed once I listened to the interview a second time. It was amazing the different feeling I had about the interviewer when I listened to it again. So stick around for today's video. If you're new to this channel, welcome. I hope you will like and subscribe. This channel does videos about different topics, and I hope it's things that you'll enjoy and encourage you. Subscribing to a YouTube channel is free. Hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when the next video is published. Now to today's video. I want to start off this video by saying I enjoyed watching 19 Kids and Counting. It was a TLC show about a large family, a supersized family in Northwest Arkansas. I watched the show. I thought it was interesting. It was interesting to me to see a family that was so different from my family. I was not from a large family, and I really enjoyed watching this family over the years. And I have to admit, when I watched the family, I would think, how could one family have 19 kids and they've all turned out so well? You would think statistically that they would have one kid in there that maybe was, I don't know, an outlaw, as my family would say. There's always one outlaw cousin or someone that's doing something that people wouldn't approve of, that you might be embarrassed that you knew your family member was doing this. Well, sooner or later, I think things like that do come out. And if you followed the Duggars, 19 Kids and Counting, you did know that there was a problem that came out, and one of the siblings is incarcerated at this time as a result of that. After that problem came out about one of those older siblings, the show was canceled, but it was actually just renamed, and the older siblings had their own spin-off show called Counting On. One of those siblings was Jinger. Now that's Jinger with a J, because if you followed the Duggars, all those 19 kids, all first names started with J. Counting On featured those older children, and some of the episodes would feature one sibling in particular that was going through some large life event. For instance, their wedding. I can remember Jill's wedding, and I can remember Ginger's wedding, and the other one's wedding, and the other one's wedding. And then also when they had children, there might be a whole episode surrounding maybe the birth of one of their children. It was an interesting show, and like it's one of those reality shows, like a lot of reality shows, that you might watch it, but you're kind of embarrassed to tell people, oh yeah, I love that reality show, because, I don't know, some people think that it's kind of silly to watch some of these reality shows, because as we know, a lot of reality shows are pretty scripted and aren't really reality. But I'm admitting it today. I liked 19 Kids and Counting as a show. I liked Counting On as a show. One of the weddings in Counting On was Ginger's, and to me, that wedding was beautiful. It was her dress was beautiful. She was beautiful. Her groom was beautiful. And if you haven't seen that episode of Counting On of Ginger's wedding, go check it out. It's almost like she looks like Cinderella. She really looks like a Disney character, and her husband looked like Prince Charming at her wedding. I thought it was adorable. Before Counting On was canceled, Ginger's wedding was one of the episodes, and you also got to know her new husband, who was at one time a professional soccer player. He had become a preacher, and she and her husband moved to South Texas. I think it might have been San Antonio, and they were going to be living there. Later, maybe a season or two later, she and Jeremy moved to Los Angeles. Jinger has written several books, but recently has written a book called Becoming Free Indeed, My Story of Disentangling Faith from Fear. Jinger has been making the rounds on different podcasts, doing interviews, promoting her book. I've seen several of them. I've always been, every time, so impressed with Jinger, how well spoken she is, how intelligent she comes across. But on Mayim Bialik's Breakdown podcast, on this podcast, I was super impressed with Jinger. Jinger was so poised and so kind. She came across as very strong, but yet kind, not overbearing, not over-talking. She really represents her family well, the Christian faith well. It's just very impressive how this woman grew up on a reality show and seems to be doing well. I listened to the interview in the car as I was on a long commute. And after the interview, I immediately wanted to do commentary on this interview because I was so struck with how I thought snarky the interviewer was. To me, the interviewer was very condescending and very snarky, and I finished the interview thinking, I'm going to do a video about this because I want people to know how Jinger was treated and how well she handled it. So I wanted to do the video from a positive perspective and really brag on Jinger because I think she held it together so well. Even though the interviewer was being snarky and condescending, Jinger did not get rattled, try to correct her. She didn't try to say, well, I don't know who you are either. The interview had this disclaimer, and maybe I'll put a screenshot of the actual transcript from the video, but she basically said, I don't watch reality TV. I famously say that I don't watch reality television. I've never seen your show. I had to look up who you were. And for me, I felt like that was a little bit of a put down, kind of like, you're on my show today, but I've never seen you. I don't know who you are. You're not famous to me. You're not a celebrity to me. There were several times in the interview, as I was listening in the car that first time through, that I felt like the interviewer was being very condescending and unkind, very snarky at times. She even made fun of the way Jinger said, Jesus. But I want to say that after I listened to it again before doing this video, I realized I felt totally different. I felt like this interviewer just has this kind of nerdy, awkward personality, and when she says things with a little giggle at the end, it's more of that nervous, awkward nerdiness coming out. And she wasn't being unkind. And I want to say this because I think this is true in all walks of life. Sometimes we can take things one way, and then if we could go back in life and rewatch that conversation we had with a real person, we might not be offended at what they said. So I want to say that today, and I want to learn that from this, that I watched the interview the first time coming away with the idea that the interviewer was snarky and rude at times. And then when I rewatched it, I thought, no, she wasn't snarky and rude. That was just her personality. And then I even saw things in the interview that I felt like the interviewer was saying, yes, I can relate to you because I come from a religious background also, a very conservative background also. So as I watched it again, I came away from the interview with a different feeling about the interviewer. But both times, I came away with respect for Jinger. Jinger Duggar Vuolo did a great job on this interview. She has survived reality television and being brought up in an environment that might have been harmful. So kudos, hats off, Jinger Duggar Vuolo. You're a strong woman. You did a great job on this interview, and it looks like you're doing a great job in life. And I want to throw this in right at the end. After I had done this video, I saw on YouTube another YouTuber had done a commentary about this interview also, and her thumbnail made it sound like that Jinger had dissed her mother, that she had said something bad about her mother in this interview, and I was just shocked. I clicked on it, and then I realized, oh, it's just clickbait. Because truly, if you watch the interview, you'll realize she said she loved her mother and how kind her mother was. And she loved both her parents. And she talked about good memories from her childhood. Well, thanks a lot, y'all, for listening to today's video. If you haven't read her book, I hope you'll check it out. The book is Becoming Free Indeed. My story of detangling faith from fear. Jinger and Jeremy have also written a children's book. You might want to check it out. It's called You Can Shine So Bright. Well, you can also find Jinger on Instagram. She's got a wonderful Instagram page with lots of beautiful pictures. Well, tell me what you think. What do you think about Jinger Duggar or any of the Duggars? I hope you'll comment down below and let me know. Well, thanks a lot, y'all. Until next time, bye.